King John was one of England's most infamous monarchs, famous for being forced into putting his seal on Magna Carta. But what do you know about King John? Take this quiz of 10 questions and find out. As usual, each question will be followed by an answer with a brief explanation. If you need more time to think about the answer, pause the video. Question 1. Where was John born? Was it A. Rouen, B. London, C. Le Mans, or D. Oxford? The answer is D. Oxford. John was born at Beaumont Palace, Oxford, on Christmas Eve 1166, and he was the final child of King Henry II and Eleanor of Aquitaine. Question 2. In his early life, John was given what unflattering nickname? Was it A. the Unready, B. Lackland, C. Curthose, or D. the Stupid? The answer is B. Lackland. Due to his initial lack of inheritance as a young prince, which was not a surprise as he had three older brothers, John was known as Lackland. However, Henry II would compensate his youngest son eventually, and John, after his brothers had rebelled against their father, would find himself the favourite of the king. Question 3. What was the name of John's nephew who was overlooked for the succession in favour of John when Richard I died in 1199? Was it A. Henry, B. Philip, C. Arthur, or D. Edward? The answer is C. Arthur. Arthur was the son of Geoffrey, the third-born son who lived into adulthood of Henry II. With Geoffrey now long dead at the time of John's succession, Arthur, as the son of an older brother, may have expected to rank higher in the succession than John, but John would be made king ahead of his 10-year-old nephew. Question 4. What was the name of John's first wife? Was it A. Isabella of Gloucester, B. Eleanor of Provence, C. Isabella of Angoulême, or D. Eleanor of Castile? The answer is A. Isabella of Gloucester. John had already asked Richard to annul his marriage to Isabella, but now John was king, there was little obstacle standing in John's way, and the king would go on to marry Isabella of Angoulême instead. John's annulment, however, left Pope Innocent III most displeased with him, and John would find that this particular pope was not a man to get on the wrong side of. Question 5. Who was King of France throughout John's reign? Was it A. Louis VII, B. Philip II, C. Louis IX, or D. Philip III? The answer is B. Philip II. Philip II, known to history as Philip Augustus, was the long-reigning French king who would effectively destroy the empire that John had inherited from his father and brother, known as the Ashanvine Empire. Question 6. Which Holy Roman Emperor did John ally himself with in the hope of rebuilding his Ashanvine Empire, only for them to be defeated in battle by Philip II in 1214? Was it A. Otto IV, B. Frederick I Barbarossa, C. Charles IV, or D. Sigismund? The answer is A. Otto IV. The alliance was one last roll of the dice for John to re establish himself in France, but it failed miserably. The Anglo Imperial Army was trounced at Boivin by Philip II, although the French king was lucky to survive a scare when he narrowly escaped being killed. John now had to face the wrath of his nobles, who had watched John squander the country's wealth and lose the empire. Question 7. Where did King John famously put his royal seal on Magna Carta? Was it A. at Winchester, B. on the Isle of Wight, C. at Runnymede, or D. in the Tower of London? The answer is C. at Runnymede. Famously, John and his angry barons met at Runnymede on the 15th of June 1215, where John, hopelessly outnumbered and said to have had only 7 knights who remained on his side, was obliged to put his seal on the Great Charter. Naturally, it wouldn't be long before John tried to worm his way out of it, seeking help from his newfound ally, Pope Innocent III, who John had gone grovelling to. Question 8. Where did John lose his crown jewels? Was it A. in the Thames, B. the Wash estuary, C. the English Channel, or D. in the New Forest? The answer is B. in the Wash estuary. Still at loggerheads with his barons, John was attempting to make a crossing of the Wash when he was caught out by the incoming tide, losing his crown jewels, but also other valuables. Question 9. What disease or illness did John die of in 1216? Was it A. the plague, B. food poisoning, C. dysentery, or D. pneumonia? The answer is C. dysentery. John fell victim to dysentery, a disease that claimed many lives of those used to a career of military campaigning, and certainly John wasn't the last famous name to die of dysentery. Later victims included the great warrior King of England, Henry V. Question 10. Who succeeded John as King of England? Was it A. Henry III, B. William II, C. Edward I, or D. King Stephen? The answer is A. Henry III. John was succeeded by his 9-year-old son Henry, who would need the help of the likes of William Marshal to protect him from the campaign of Louis, the French prince, who had been invited to England to usurp the hapless John. Even with John's death in October 1216, Louis continued to hope he could take the English crown. However, his efforts would prove futile.